This doll is part of a collaboration with Skeriosities and our patrons from Patreon. The theme was undead. I chose to do a gender swap for one of my favorite video games of all times, Voodoo Vince. A basic overview of the game is that you have to hurt or kill yourself to progress and to make events happen. That screamed undead to me. I'll post a link to Skeriosities' collaboration video. Be sure to check out what she and everyone participating has made. There'll be a group collaboration picture at the end of this video as well. So let's jump in. So I'm starting with my Vipering Gorgon. Her scales kind of reminded me of Burlap, so I thought she was a good choice. I'm going to shave off all her hair and blow dry her for 2 minutes so I can pop off her head and her little weird snake things. And then I'm using my dollar store acrylic nail remover to scrape out all that remaining hair and plugs and glue. And then my hemostats will help me pull the rest of that gook out of there. This part is really satisfying. I'm going to use 100% acetone to take off her factory makeup and also the coloring for the top of her head. So I'm using this 2-part epoxy sculpt. It's basically like a clay that I'm going to use to fill in the tracks left for me pulling her snakes off. You just mix equal parts together and then it hardens and it sticks to almost anything. You can also smooth it using water. Make sure that you do wear gloves, not like me. Alright, it is face up time. So I'm going to go in with my pan pastels to add some shadow and some highlights first. Also use a little dark brown watercolor in the mouth. And then some more contouring, and I'm going to add a bunch of white in here because the white takes a bunch of layers to really build up. When my doll stops taking color, I'm going to spray some Mr. Super Clear sealant on it, and that just kind of gives it more grip to grab the color. So I'm going to take some magenta pastel and put it on her cheeks, chin, forehead, nose, just to bring a little life into her face. And then define her lips out a little more. Sorry for the out of frame experiences. I'm still getting used to working on dolls and filming at the same time. And when my doll stops taking color, I'm going to spray more MSC on her, go back in and do more contouring and layering of all that color. I'm also going to start working on her brows here soon, and I'm going to lay down my outline of the brow shape in the pan pastels, and when I'm happy with it, then I'm going to save it with some more Mr. Super Clear. Apparently off camera, I'm going to start adding more detail again into our lips and whitening up that sclera, adding more depth around the eyes and such. And you may notice that there is a lot of white. When I spray the Mr. Super Clear, it will dull it down and you will hardly see it. That's why I have to keep layering on the white and white and white. Also, you may notice that there is only one eye, and one of her brows is going to be lower than the other. She has a button eye, and I did purposely make that brow a little bit lower, kind of to give her a little wonky look. I'm going to start in here with my watercolor pencil and add some fine lines into the brows. just kind of making them look more realistic. I will add some lighter and darker hairs off camera as well. Using that magenta, I'm just going to brighten up her cheeks a little bit more and add any more highlights that I want, and probably brighten up that white of her sclera a little more too as well. So I either lost footage or I didn't realize my camera died. Not sure which it is, but here's where I'm at. It's really nice not having to worry about making my eyes symmetrical because she only has one eye. The other one is a button. So my lower and upper lash lines are coming together. Gonna just add a little bit of lower lashes. I'm still building my lash game. Each time it gets a little bit better, but it's still a struggle for me. Epoxy sculpt again, but this time to give me a base to stick her button eye to. This simple task took me about 8 times to get it to where I was happy with the look. Thankfully, editing makes it so you don't have to watch it. I think I maybe do it twice. So I'm gonna give her a little burlap undercut. I'm cutting the shape out and then kind of fraying the edges, and then I'm going to glue it down with Beacon's 3-in-1. I'm going to use some pins here to hold it down in place while the glue is drying. It seems pretty appropriate for a voodoo doll. You also see that her eye was covered up with masking tape for the final layers of MSC. I'm going to glue a little patch here on the opposite side of her little undercut, similar to Vince's in the game. Let's make some hair. This is 100% acrylic yarn that decided it needed to yarn barf instead of being nice and neat. I'm going to cut even strips using this plastic binder by wrapping it around and then cutting down the middle. I'm using 2 colors for this doll, and the cream was feeling a little ill as well, so it also needed to yarn barf, but only a little bit. Same thing for this color, but then I'm going to slip knot each of the strips onto a barbecue skewer. Once I have them on the skewer, I'm going to separate each strand. The chunky yarn is my favorite because it's so easy to do with the big hunks. I have my slicker brush here, and I'm going to brush out all the skewered hair. I'm going to lose a lot of fiber here, and it'll get a lot shorter. This is another one of my favorite parts. Using a straightening iron, I'm going to flatten all the hair, and look how shiny. In chunks of about 3 to 4 slip knots, I'm cutting the hair and gluing the cut ends to a silicone mat. This is making the hair wefts that I can glue onto the doll's head. I'm using tacky glue for this. When it's all dry, I'm going to peel off the wefts and trim the glue edges to make it all nice and neat. Using hot glue, I'm going to start at the nape of the neck and glue the wefts onto the doll head. I need to find a better filming angle for this. I apologize for that. I'm going to continue gluing and working my way up to the top and the sides of the doll's head. So I'm using the taupe yarn as the bottom layers and then the cream more on the top of the hair. At the undercut, I'm actually going to glue the wefts towards the face and then flip them over so you can see the undercut. So I'm heating a metal straw or a metal chopstick with the straightening iron, trying to coax the weft to come away from the undercut. So jumping to the body, I'm going to use a nail sanding block to kind of scuff it up so that the MSC has something to stick to. And then I'm going to be using a reddish brown, similar to the pastel I contour her face with. I'm going to kind of dry brush her with watered down acrylics. This is hopefully going to enhance the burlap texture on her body mold. Basically, I'm just slopping the paint on and then wiping the surface off to leave the colors and the cracks only. This was the easiest outfit to sew ever. I just used a burlap ribbon and folded it over and then sewed in a seam at the top. I left room to run an elastic through the waistband. Since she was a messy voodoo doll, I didn't have to do any hemming. Yay! And also a few days after she was done, I realized that she was too clean. So I kind of messed her outfit up using some pastels and a makeup brush. You'll see that in her photo shoot. I cut a piece from the same skirt ribbon and cut away some of the fibers. Then I can braid them up to kind of make a halter for the top of her dress. I just secured the ends with extra fiber. I don't have a lot of experience yet with Worbla thermoplastic, but using my mannequin doll, I'm heating up the rectangle of Worbla I cut and I will put it on the doll and kind of shape it into her corset. So I just super glued the halter top to the Worbla. The Worbla didn't even need painting this time because the color was perfect as it is. So what voodoo doll would be complete without patches? So I went ahead and glued some little patches and scraps onto her skirt and corset. I'm adding little messy stitches in different colors than the patch, so they kind of stand out. And again, no hems, yay! I was able to find these cute platform boots in my stock box. So I'm just going to be gluing on some of that burlap ribbon onto them. I just kind of shape them with scissors and pin them up until they dry. With her boots all dry, I'm just trimming and then fraying her boots up a little bit. Using the seam from the burlap ribbon, I'm going to tie this around her boots randomly. Off camera, I also stuck bent pins into her boots and her outfit. She also needed her own voodoo plushie, so I made her one of those off camera. Popping her head back on, and she is ready for me to stab her with more pins. Poor thing. You may have noticed I gave her 3 rusty braids. That's just a little nod to Voodoo Vince, who had 3 sprigs of reddish hair on his head. Time for a set of lashes for her eye and her button. With the magic of cutting and editing, you didn't have to watch me struggle with these lashes. You're welcome. Appropriately using a pin, I'm giving her some eye shines. And with that, I think she's done. And from this vibrating gorgon, we go to Voodoo Vinni. If you stayed with me this long, why not like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button to be notified of my uploads. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Pop over to Skeriosities Doll Art YouTube channel to check out all the Undead Collaboration dolls.